Hi guys, it's Wendy, and I am going to do a tutorial on how to make the 3D flowers in Design Space with your Cricut. So there are a couple different types of paper flowers to make. We're going to make the one that uses the spiral design, and you roll it and hot glue it, and I'm going to show you how to find the 3D flower template in Design Space through Cricut, and then also show you how to use your own. We start at the Design Space webpage, and that is design.cricut.com, and there are 3 ways we can open a new project. We can open a new project with the green plus button down here on the screen. We can open a new project with the green New Project button up here on the right corner. And we can also open, which we will, the project up here in the drop-down menu next to the Home button. And you can just click Canvas. So from here on our canvas, what you want to do is over here on the left-hand side are all the options. We want to go to Images, and it's going to bring up the library of all the images that are available to you preloaded by Cricut. So if you have cartridges, you can search your cartridges up here. You can also filter it for the free images that are available to you. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Images is clicked. We're going to go to the search bar and search 3D flower and push enter. This is what should pop up for you. These flowers can be a little bit tricky to find. So in here you will see petals, flowers that are already a full flower, and then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll start to see these spirals. If you don't have Cricut access, then you are probably going to have to purchase your file to make the flowers. So you find the one you want, and this is a pretty good one. I also like this one over here, the red one. That makes a really nice flower, and this one is cute. It makes more like daisy petals, and you can kind of tell when you look at them how the different designs are going to create different looking flowers. So I'm going to choose this pink one. You click on it to highlight the green box around the file that you want. If I wanted to make 2 flowers at a time, I could click on both of them. So I'm going to go down to the lower right corner and click Insert Images. And here we are. So I made a flower with just the size that it brings up automatically, and it was pretty small. So we're going to make the largest flower that it's going to allow us on a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. So once your image is here in Design Space, in order to select it, you can just click on it. I'm going to deselect it by clicking off of the image onto the canvas. You can also select it by coming up here to the top in the menu bar and pushing Select All. And I'm going to move it over a little bit so you can see all of the options. We have the X to close it and get rid of it. You have the Rotate button to rotate it. And we have the scale arrows to enlarge it and decrease it. And there's a little lock button over here. If you unlock the image, then when you drag, you can manipulate it in any way you want. But we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Click on it again. It's locked. So if you ever have an image that sizes really weirdly when you pull on the resize arrows, just take a look over here and make sure that you're locked. So from here, we want to drag and pull, and I'm just going to pull it to about 11 inches. So over here on this edge, we're 1/2 inch over. Over here, we're 1/2 inch down. I'm going to come down here in the lower left is the zoom. So you can zoom out by pushing the minus. You can obviously zoom in by pushing the plus. That's how you can zoom in and out. And you can look up here and it will tell you your height and your width. I'm going to go ahead so you can watch those boxes as I drag the image, and you can see that it's not quite square, but those values change as I drag it. So I know that the width is longer than the height, so I'm going to size it using my width because I can't really size it any bigger than 11 1/4 or so. So I'm going to type in 11.25 and push return, and it's going to resize to there. So that's a pretty good size to fit on our 12 by 12 cardstock. At this point, we are ready to cut. So I will go over to Make It, push Make It, and it will bring up your mat and a preview of where it's going to start cutting, how far in. That's why I don't make it exactly 12 inches, because if it starts to get too close to the side, then Cricut will tell you that it's too big and it can't cut it. So from here, you just click continue. I'm not hooked up to my Cricut right now. I'm going to finish that part with a video and not the screen recording. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I did tell you that I was going to show you how to do this with your own SVG file. So I'm going to click on the flower that we imported from Design Space, and I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. I have uploaded a third-party image for a flower. It's a little bit different. It's going to have pointy petals instead of rounded petals. So it's here in my uploaded images. I click on that to highlight the green again, and like before, you can highlight several if you want to import several. We're just going to import this one, insert images. Click on that, and there it is. And then from here, it's the same. You can change colors here if you want to, but it doesn't matter because the color is whatever paper you put on the mat, not the color that you see on the screen. But if you want to know kind of what it's going to look like in different colors, you can change that. So then from here, you make sure that this little thing says cut, has the scissors. If you ever have one that has the little printer on it that is actually a cut file and you go to make it, it's not going to cut it out for you. So you want to make sure that when you're doing a cut file, it just always has the little scissors there. Then we can go to Make It, and there you go. So then you just continue on as we did with the other file. All right, guys, so here we are. I am at my Cricut cutter right now. The camera's pointed toward my laptop. I work on a Mac, but we are on the same screen as we just left, and we're ready to proceed. So I am going to talk about the paper I'm using right now. So Michael's had this really crazy deal on a bunch of paper, and I'm not sure that it's actually the finest quality paper, but for this it's going to work just fine. It is not solid core, it has a white core, so when we cut it, you'll see we'll see a lighter center of the paper. But so I'm just going to take a piece off, and we'll go ahead and use the pink since the template's pink, and who doesn't love a pretty pink flower? And when I'm using paper like this, I like to use my light grip mat, okay? Strong grip, your paper's gonna get stuck, and even a lot of the time, the standard grip, it gets stuck. So you do want to leave your the covering on here because that keeps dust and other things from getting on there. I'm going to align my paper. Oh, see, these things can get pretty sticky. I think I've even stuck this one to my shirt a couple times to de-stick it. And so you just want to get it on there. It's okay if it's a little bit crooked. Crooked, not cricket. And so now over here on my computer, I am going to go down and push continue. And it's going to ask me to set the materials. So this is medium cardstock. So I'm going to select medium cardstock, and my fine point blade is already loaded in there. Okay. Then over here, we are flashing the load button. Now I've placed the mat underneath these little guides on each side. Make sure they're underneath, because if they go over the top, then your Cricut stops and gives you an error that you have done something wrong and you need to contact the company. So you don't want to do that. So make sure it's aligned under these little guides right there, and it's flashing load, and you push load and it sucks it in. So then over here on your monitor or on your phone, it's going to tell you it's time to press go. And you do have the option to choose fast mode. I like to I haven't had anything where I've really needed to utilize that, so I just kind of keep that unselected. And so now you see the little Cricut is flashing, and that is go time. So I'm going to go ahead and click go. And this is where the magic happens, and it's going to cut. The machine really is kind of cool. I have to say, I was pretty impressed when I first got it, started cutting things out. Technology. So over on your screen now, the unload here on the Cricut, the unload arrow is flashing, and over on your screen, it will tell you that it's 100% done and you can unload your mat. We will push the arrow button that's flashing to unload the mat. And so now you can see where it's made the cuts. Ah, there's a good angle. So I'm going to go ahead and push finish on my computer and push this up, turn this off so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Look, there's a little storage area underneath here. And I have my spatula in there. So first thing I'm going to do at working on getting this off is you want to bend the mat and not the paper. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up on the paper because this is the scrap part. But as you pull up, if you pull your paper that's actually part of the design, you risk bending it and having it rolled up. So this part, it doesn't really matter. I'm even going to rip this little bit off. Well, let's see if we can take it off in one full piece. And depending on the paper that you're using, sometimes it'll rip in the thin parts, but this is kind of fun. And it's going quite well, so that's good. If anybody has any suggestions on what to do with these fun scrap pieces, leave a comment. So here we are, and we have the flower now ready to take off. So these mats are really flexible, and sometimes I even like really roll it back and just like even make like a tube out of it. And you can see how then your paper kind of rolls off. You can do it in both directions. It really just pops right back into place. And then you just carefully, I got the spatula out, but I don't think we're going to need it with this light grip mat. And so just carefully, you can help by rolling the mat. Bending the mat isn't going to hurt it. You can see I've got it like that, and then it just goes back. Okay, so that one did make a little crease, but it's going to go back. So now we have our spiral all pulled out, and we will move on to the next step. Okay, so now that we have the flower cut out, it is time to assemble it. Your first instinct might be to start rolling it from the middle, but actually you start rolling it from the outside. So I kind of like to take it around my finger and roll it up once, just to kind of sort of loosen and soften up the paper a little bit and give it a little bit of memory already. So I just take it and just sort of roll it up, and the spiral shape is kind of what keeps the ends, you know, instead of like getting longer to one side. And you do want to be careful, because where your paper's cut, it can rip, so you don't want to just be like go super crazy. And then you can sort of, and it'll also, you know, some papers stiffer than others, so you might get like a couple little bends going on, but you'll see as we kind of roll it up how it eventually is going to go together. So this last circle is the bottom of the flower. So once you can see it's already starting to look like a flower here. At the end, that is going to be our base, where it gets glued on, and then it'll kind of look like that. So I let it unroll, and then I sort of go back to the beginning. Now, this is a chopstick, and it's nice and round. It's not square, and you can use this to help you wrap it. You want the middle of the flower to be fairly small, so I'm going to use this small end and just start wrapping and sort of use that as my guide. And you can also use a pair of pliers. This is a hemostat. You can also use something that clamps and do the same thing. This is kind of nice because it does stay clamped. So now I'm just going to take this and try to keep the edges now lined up with the edges of the new paper that I'm rolling. And so you just roll with it. Keep on rolling. Proud Mary. I could start singing. Rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. Leave me some comments. Let me know if this tutorial was helpful for you. You want to like keep rolling this as you go, because I just actually twisted a piece off. I also never said that everything I did was going to be perfect, so. But hopefully you're having fun and learning something. So this is winding up pretty tight, and this is tighter than what it's going to end up being in the end. But you want the paper to get like sort of muscle memory. I've lost all my muscle memory and my memory. It's all right. That's what crafting is for, right? Just lose yourself. Okay, so here we are at the end. I kind of give it a little fold over, and then I let it sort of relax and unwind a little bit, like so. Oh, and look, it's looking like a flower. Isn't that pretty? And so once you get I kind of take a look in the middle and say, oh yeah, I like where that's at. So I'm going to take a little dot of hot glue and just kind of run it over the top there. Or I guess it's actually the bottom. And right now, that's just to keep those bits in place. Okay, so it's not, I'm not actually gluing it yet. I'm just going to let that cool so that that middle part doesn't unravel anymore. And you can make that, you know, wider or smaller. Oh, we're sticking to the bottom. We're not ready for that yet. It just rolls off. God, hot glue guns have been around for so long. It's crazy. You'd think we'd be using like lasers or something now. So then what I like to do is work from the bottom and get it to where that bottom part is the same as this little circle. And they're a little bit tricky, okay? You just got to kind of work with it. The more you do, the easier it gets. And so then what I do when I kind of find that the right size is I hold it there and I put some glue on this petal on the outside, like so. Right there. Oops, I got a little bit too much. And remember, safety first, this glue gets hot. So this is actually like pretty hot right there. But I'm gonna let that cool, and I'm even like get in here a little bit and press it. Oh, don't worry that just all came out, because we're glued in the middle, and now we're glued on the edge, and you just wrap it up like a present. So I'm just going to curl that back in like so. And then you can kind of play with, you know, like how loose do you want the inside and the first few layers to be. And you can just kind of let it sort of make itself like that. So then you want to get in here and put some glue all over that, okay? And then get in there. And again, remember, this is hot. So get in there and push it down. And I try to grab it, push it down like that without burning myself. And you do want to hold it until it cools off, but you really want to try not to have to let go, because some of these papers are coated and sometimes the glue ends up kind of not sticking very well. So you really want to make sure that you're in there. So see how it didn't stick super well on the first little one I did. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if I have old glue or if I just didn't hold it long enough. So I'm going to go ahead and just really get in there and hold it. And, you know, as you're turning it too, you can put little dabs of glue, you know, around there. So there's your flower. And then if you want to, you can take something round like this and just grab the edge, curl, and just sort of go around. And you just have to judge, like I said, some papers aren't as flexible, and so they don't want to bend as well. But then you just go around and roll it and roll it and mark it with the B for baby and me, or mark it with the C for Cricut and me. Woohoo! I know, I'm goofy. I kind of feel like Bob Ross right now. Happy little flowers. just roll the petals. See how we create the happy little flowers. And it's okay that these kind of jump around. And then you can kind of go in and adjust them so, you know, that the petals are a little less symmetrical. And you just kind of go around and you can't really get into all of the petals because it gets tied in there. But you just kind of go around and just do the ones that you want, make it yours, own it, and there you go. And they are kind of like, they are a little springy, okay? That's kind of the nature of them. Now I glued this down to the bottom, but I'm also now going to maybe add a little bit of glue here so that that kind of closes up that part. And again, like I said, some of these papers are coated and the glue doesn't always want to stick. So just hold it a little bit. And there you go. So hopefully this was helpful and you have fun making your own flowers. Subscribe with the button down below and leave a comment and let me know what you think. Bye guys.